What is up, you guys? We are here for our weekend reflection message. We're using the Radiant Sun Oracle and the Dreaming Way Tarot. And to start us off, we have Saturn in Pisces, which is loss. And this isn't as an alarming card as it seems. There are some cards that seem alarming, but just stick with me, they're not too bad. And so, followed by the Moon in Libra, which is companionship. Followed by Mercury in Scorpio, which is extremism. Another card that's not as bad as it looks. It's not what it seems. You know what this picture reminds me of? that whole like, well, would she have made me enchiladas the next night? You know. And Saturn in Aries, which is risk. All right. Now, get these back in order. Underneath loss, we have Two of Wands. Underneath extremism, we have the Sun. And underneath, it was like companionship and risk were kind of together here. And then we got the Two of Cups. Awesome. I'm going to pause this and let you guys listen to the audio, and then we'll come back and we'll unpack the cards. I'm also excited that I am filming on a new tripod. I've got one of the Horizon ones now that's just magnet, and it is so much easier and less annoying and faster. And I usually like start filming with wet nails, and so when I'm trying to like squeeze my phone into the clamp thing, it always messes up my nails. So today I've got nice nails. Wow, things are really coming together from the inside out. Loss has taught us many things, and as we shake off the dust of what has passed, we are born brightly into a new beginning. We have lofty goals and a big vision, but our experience and perseverance have prepared us for this next phase to come into fruition. We have grown a deeper understanding of the needs of others and possess a strong desire to help them. Our light is shining bright, and we have an opportunity to reveal so much more potential with the right consciousness, intention, and discipline, as well as executing a pragmatic action plan with clarity and decisiveness. We have a unique way of communicating and connecting with others that demonstrates our authority in an area and earns their trust. Don't be afraid to take some risks and bring humor into the mix. We are aligning with our divine path and signaling to incoming souls who are soon to join our story. Okay, I've got the book out so that you can get some of the important, like mundane details out of these cards and the combinations. But first, let's start with Saturn in Pisces paired with Two of Wands. Two of Wands is a card that talks about having lofty goals and a big vision, and feeling like you are in the building stage towards executing that plan and vision, and then attracting in possibly like a collaborator or a partner, or bringing in the energy and the excitement and the inspiration to make it happen. The Loss card talks about how when you have Saturn in Pisces, it's like one thing that they need to work on is setting boundaries and not becoming enmeshed, because they experience other people's problems almost as if it were their own. Saturn has a deep desire to take action, to work diligently to implement a pragmatic action plan. And Pisces has very little desire to receive for the self and a very great desire to give help and help others. So it is almost like they can get to the point of self-abandonment, almost like, in the case of like a Cancer or a Libra, in that they feel others' needs and discomfort so acutely that sometimes they just want to make other people's problems their own, and they take them on and they want to solve them. So, there's a few things that are key, I think, and relevant about this card that came up during the week. So I'm going to just read this. The personal reading is that much of the Saturn Piscean potential for self-discipline and responsibility is invested in helping other people with problems. The sensitivity of a person with this planet sign combination to others' needs can make it difficult for them not to become involved in helping people in some way. If this manifests in a professional job, then all well and good, but the demands will be great. Now, we've been talking about something recently that helps others, that has a kind of a sense for what others want and need. This has been an ongoing sort of like theme playing out over weeks and months now. So there might be an opportunity to put those talents and those skills to good use, but it's going to be something that requires like ongoing effort and it like to continuously show up. Saturn Pisceans have a strong insight into the motivations of those around them, but should be careful that they don't lose their own identity when faced with other people's demands. Excessive imagination and sympathy can create problems that don't really exist, as other people's sadness, sorrows, and losses become their own. Often, Saturn Pisceans feel the desire or need to work in seclusion or retreat from the world in some way. Is this goal sort of like a remote gig or practice that kind of like takes you out of the traditional crowds of the workplace, for instance? Or is it like a solo thing that you work on as a freelancer, kind of on your own? It may be that they will be attracted to the study of the deeper processes in the unconscious mind and in such interests as psychology. But watch that an excessive tendency to compulsive inward looking does not become over obsessive. Saturn Pisceans are better looking outward towards others than looking within. When this card is chosen in a reading, it indicates a loss of some kind, but it may be worth thinking about what is really concerned here. Could it be that the inquirer is really worrying about someone else's loss and not their own? The events around this card: a feeling of loss, situations involving hospitals or health clinics, work in the field of complementary therapies, counseling others, developing interests in the occult. So I think that a lot of what I'm getting out of this card also has to do with the fact that we've been talking about how we have these big dreams and these big goals, and the key is to overcome limiting beliefs or fears that things will only work out as well as they did before, or they won't work out because they never did before. But really what happens when you build certainty in the Creator, what happens is that you start to understand that every failure, every victory, every win, every loss, it's all part of the unfolding of your higher potential and your soul and bringing you closer to the light of the Creator. That's the purpose for the event that plays out that they serve. So if you believe in yourself and in the Creator, and that God has a plan for you and a direction for your life, and that you genuinely, with a deep sincerity and desire, want to align with that, then you understand that this is just a stepping stone in the journey, and that each part played its purpose and role for a season until it served you in completion, and then the chapter closes and it is time to prepare for the next chapter. And so when you believe that maybe a failed business attempt or some dream that didn't come true, it doesn't matter that that vessel wasn't the one. That belief in yourself and in the Creator's plan takes all that energy and love and intention that you put into that project, and it puts it into like a spiritual escrow account that gets transferred into the next thing that you have the vessel or the capacity to channel the light through in a way that can be fulfilling and have lasting value. So it gets saved. But when we hit a snag or a stumbling block, and we fail and we give up on ourselves and we perceive it as a failure and a loss, and we lose hope and we become, we fall into despair and discouraged, and we give up and we think, oh, we throw in the towel, that's it, that's all that's ever going to happen, then we lose all of that escrow. It's like we went spiritually bankrupt, and all that energy and that light is then spilled out, and it has to become, we have to recapture those sparks of light through another process, through another learning experience. So just keep believing in yourself that even though you have experienced loss, that loss was experience that was building your wisdom and your knowledge and your expertise and your understanding and your compassion and your empathy, and it is setting you up for the next level every single time. And so continue to keep your sights high, keep your vision big, keep your goals lofty, because you're well on your way. Now we have Mercury in Scorpio and the Sun card. The Sun card talks about clarity and new life and new beginnings and abundance and expression. And we are in the Leo eclipse portal. This Sun card is associated with Leo. Leo is ruled by the sun, and Leo is associated with the heart, right? We've been talking about opening the heart, and that actually opens up a way for all kinds of other light and blessings to come in. But when the heart is closed, it's not just closed to the one thing you think it's closed to. It closes you down to everything. So clarity, purpose, direction, intention, abundance, joyousness. The Sun card is also a big capital Y-E-S. Yes, it's a confirmation card in the tarot. So let's go to read extremism. So a dramatic Penny Dreadful style illustration of a struggling couple, man and woman, fighting over the contents of a letter. The words have changed everything. A crow shrieks at the scene. Caw, caw, caw. The Mercury in Scorpio card describes a deep, penetrating thinker, someone both intuitive and profound, whose sharp insights into others' motivation direct the thoughts. Such personalities are widely persuasive in argument. Typically, Mercury Scorpions are said to be secretive and do not waste time talking unless they have something worthwhile to say. They command a great deal of respect and are endowed with a magnetic personality that claims many followers. This sounds like the attributes of a Leo, right? Doesn't it? And it sounds like we have something valuable to say, but we don't want to waste words. And we also have an insight into what motivates and drives people, and an understanding of what makes them move, what makes them tick. And that is what can make us have sway or influence with others. So we have to have integrity. And that's been, the integrity card, or the integrity theme has come up this week, and value that trust more than anything. The ability to go to an extreme opposite position in order to understand the whole possibility of an issue, makes such a person good investigators and researchers. It also makes them capable of drastic changes of philosophy or beliefs, which can leave others up in the air with the last swing of opinion. For Mercury Scorpios, the supreme challenge is to solve seemingly impossible problems. The challenge of the impossible is so necessary that they often even generate mishaps in order to retrieve or overcome a situation. So this person likes actually problem solving, which is another thing that has come up this week. It's like just an inclination or a desire for problem solving or helping others or acts of sharing is actually going to make the open the way for success more so than focusing on what you desire to receive for yourself. For Mercury Scorpios, the Supreme people with this combination display great interest in science and or the occult. Understanding life's secrets, whether purely physical or more mystical, is important to them. There's also a love of intrigue that makes for good detective story writers, journalists, sleuths, and crime investigators. When this card is drawn, the questioner may face a total reprisal of his or her life philosophy to overcome seemingly insolvable situation, which is the month of Teshuvah. It is reflecting on how we can be a better vessel, right? How we want to grow, how we want to transform. A violent verbal outbursts, news of a death, the solving of a great problem, discussion of a deep life problem, and drastic change of opinion. So like really seeing problems and being able to problem solve, I think is a big one there. And having the capacity to have deep understanding and a charismatic way of communicating those thoughts and ideas. All right, let's go to risk. It's interesting that in the Saturn suit, the first card out is risk. It's Saturn in Aries, but then we started with the last card, which is Saturn in Pisces. So it starts from a seed level of the energy of young, less developed Saturnian energy, and we span the range from the most mature vessel of Saturnian energy. So we have the risk card paired with companionship. Actually, companionship was first and risk was second. And then the Two of Cups. But since these were linked together, we're just going to read them in a pair. And we'll just remember in the context of the fact that the Two of Cups is about like things attracting like things. Things coming together that create a deeper bond. Connecting with like-minded individuals, deepening relationships that are already existing, and making new relationships with new people that you find common interests with, right? So that kind of sounds like growing a platform or involving yourself in a new community, making connections, maybe even meeting potential clients or finding people that you can serve and help. Okay, so let's read risk first. And this is Saturn in Aries. A boy, worldly possessions over his shoulder, bravely passes a menacing bear. Now this is very like the Fool card, right? With the knapsack, light baggage, you know. Taking a risk. So bravely passes a menacing bear. The North American Indian fetish is a protection against danger. A key symbolizes Aries' boldness in opening doors, and a starred tree, the fruits of Martian courage. With the Saturn and Aries personality, individuality, initiative, and activities which combine self-control and discipline, individuality, initiative, and activities which combine self-control and disciplined, energetic work will make life achievements most possible. So another theme in this reading is the enjoyment of exertion and putting effort into something, and not only problem solving, but like taking on a challenge that has difficulty. It's not just an easy, satisfying fix. It's actually, this is like really taking on a desire for problem solving in a way that it's actually fun for the person. It's like they are so inclined to get in there and just find solutions, and they love it. Saturn Aries people rarely speak or act without having definite decision in mind. They have good reasoning ability and are prepared to shoulder responsibility when necessary. People with this planet sign combination are loners in that they are more often not, they are loners in that they, more often than not, prefer to get on with things without asking for help or advice of others. So again, back to that sort of like lone wolf, self-employment, maybe contract work, remote work, something like that. For those with this aspect, there may be a call for great patience in situations in which the natural Aryan desire for quick action is frustratingly restricted. So slow and steady, and don't expect immediate results. The biggest danger comes when Aries impetuously gets the better of Saturn's restrictive common sense and provokes risky action that may or may not succeed. These are like run-on sentences and they're all weird. Aries' impetuosity gets the better of Saturn's restrictive common sense and provokes risky actions that may or may not succeed. Impetuous actions usually lead to frustrating holdups. In these instances, a good physical outlet for pent-up aggression comes in handy, such as the martial arts in which discipline and natural energy are combined. When this card is drawn in a reading, it indicates a tendency to take everything too seriously and shows that allowing a sense of humor to express itself in the current situation will not denigrate conscious work in any way. It is time to relax and take measured risk. A justified risk taken to provoke new possibilities. A sudden regretted action after a long bout of concentrated and patient work. Pushing oneself into a position of power through intense work. So, slow, steady wins the race. Don't become impatient and frustrated, and take risks with being funny and humorous a little bit, but don't take impetuous risks that undermine all your efforts. Okay, and then companionship. Here we go. The moon in Libra, again, is going to be, having a lot of that strong empathy there. So above, 4 classical feminine figures link arms in friendship. Below, hands grasp in greeting. The pomegranate is a symbol of the sun and indicates fertility and growth. The emotions of Moon Libra people are invariably influenced by those around them. They really care how others are feeling and can be quickly upset when all is not harmonious. Librans are vulnerable to immersing their own emotional needs in someone else's difficulty. The biggest problem this card indicates is when a powerful desire to please and keep everything in balance emotionally tends to lead someone giving in under tricky situations in order to maintain harmony. So like they're warning against the tendency to go along to get along, and then that becomes self-abandonment and enmeshment and all of that. So don't just go along or hold back to keep the peace. That's a problem that Libra has. They need to learn how to speak up and speak up for themselves when it's prudent to do so. Or even stand their ground when it's proper to do so. Environment is important. It's an important influence on a Moon Libran who feel the need for an atmosphere of good taste and beauty. I know that's right. The Libran emotional ideal is to feel at one with a partner in a harmonious setting. Life is rarely as perfect as that, and this character may need the constant life is rarely as perfect as that, and this character may feel the constant need to act as peacemaker between others. It is good to swing the balance occasionally and risk a bit of selfishness in order not to get sat on so frequently. How other people feel and act affects people with this planet sign combination more than most, and they might be watchful not to fall into the trap of allowing themselves to be treated like a doormat. When this card is chosen, it often indicates marriage or a relationship entered into purely for emotional or domestic security. Because of the moon's link with the home and Libra's usual good taste, the companionship card will indicate someone who has a beautiful home. So events include beautifying the home, discussions about business or contracts, seminars, teamwork, new friendships, and social meetings. So again, we have taking risks, be funny, put yourself out there. Don't go along to get along. Don't try to blend in, just because you think that'll help other people like you more. Be yourself, be authentic, be truthful, be, willing to take some risks and rock the boat a little bit, and people will connect with that authenticity and they will respond to it in kind. All right, you guys, that is all for tonight. Shabbat Shalom. Have a wonderful and sacred weekend of peace and replenishment and blessing. And I will see you guys tomorrow night. Maybe, actually, I probably won't. I think we'll take a break tomorrow night because my friend is having her birthday party and I will probably swing by after work, and I don't want to be coming in and after a party doing the really long Secret Teachings of Jesus video and then having no sleep. I kind of need to keep my energy up right now, so we will just probably have a little break and double check, because if something happens and I don't end up going to the party or whatever, I'll come home and make my video. But it's likely that I might just take a break tomorrow night. And in the meantime, though, if you are missing my face, you're not needing a break, you can go look for me on TikTok and watch some of my first videos. I'm following a criteria and protocol right now to build my account the way that TikTok and TikTok partnerships suggest you do. So it's not necessarily what you're used to seeing, and it feels a little bit like, I don't know, I'm trying to, it's almost like I'm putting on a costume like I'm a normal person. But it's just me kind of in my environment and talking about random things that aren't really spiritually related. And so, yeah, if you want to support me there and you were curious about behind the scenes stuff, if you're one of the people that ask about that, or, unboxing things, that's eventually what it's going to be about. I'll probably throw in readings and metaphysical goods, as well as wellness stuff, hair growth, regrowth, health, cosmetics, beauty stuff, skincare, all the stuff that I like in my personal life, plus probably some metaphysical wares as well. So if you want to follow me on TikTok and get more of just a connection with my personality, you can find me there at Elizabeth Rose Loves, and that's all one stream of thought in lowercase. Elizabeth Rose Loves. And you'll see my face. It's like a collage. I'm in black and white, and I've got like a purple flower crown. That's it, me. All right, y'all. Ciao. Peace.